Hello, hello. Good afternoon, everybody. This is Fabio Nascimbeni from the European Training Foundation, and I'm glad to welcome you to this last webinar of 2025 of our community of innovative educators. This is one of the many events that we have been organizing this year, and this event is a special one because we are going to discuss, present briefly what happened in the community during 2025, and then we are going to discuss what you as community members, as community ambassadors, as community innovators would like to see happening during last year. And then we have two special surprises. The first is a presentation on the Teacher Task Force, International Teacher Task Force, that is another community, another mechanism similarly to ours to keep teachers engaged and to support teachers' innovation as well. And finally, at the end of this webinar, we will officially launch the ETF New Learning Award 2026. That is a competition that I won't spoil anything. You will hear about later on. Can I see the agenda, Giacomo? I don't know if I can see the slides. Yes. Okay. So let me see. Yes. Now we should be able to control. Good. So importantly, this is the website, the homepage of our ETF community of innovative educators. As you can see there, our community counts with more than 1,600 members, plus, and the number, a lot of blog posts. We have been organizing along these 4 years, almost 50 events, collecting resources and so on. So this is the homepage. You can either take a picture to the QR code there, or use the links that will be shared during this webinar to become members if you are not, or to explore what we've been doing along this year. Everything we do, we try to document it and to save it in this space, that is the ETF open space, so that you are not obliged to follow all the webinars. We know that educators are very busy, as they should be, sometimes even too busy, but let's say we try to make sure that you can follow everything we do through open space. This is what is going to happen today. After this quick introduction, we are going to hear from Erin Chemery from the UNESCO International Teacher Task Force 2030 about not only what the Teacher Task Force is doing, but also about some specific work that they've been doing on AI for teaching. That is a key theme also of our community. And actually, the International Teacher Task Force is not only a friend of our community, but it is a special partner because, as I was saying before, we share the same objective. So we invite all of you to follow not only what we do, but also to follow what the Teacher Task Force is doing, because this is, these are similar ways to empower educators and to make sure that educators' voices are heard. Then we're going to have a moment where myself and my colleagues, you see the names there, will tell you, or we'll go back across this year and we'll tell about the highlights of what we did this year, and this will be instrumental for the following discussion, that is what we can do more next year. So in the last part of this meeting, around 3 o'clock, we want really to hear from you. That's why it's good that we are many people already today, many members of our community, because we would really like to hear from you what the community can do for you in 2026 and in 2027. And at the end, the last 10 minutes will be the special announcement about the new ETF competition on innovative practices on integrated key competencies. But again, you will hear about that later. This webinar is being interpreted in Arabic and Russian to try to be as inclusive as possible in terms of languages. You can use the button on the bottom of your screen in the Zoom window to change your language in case you want. You can use the chat in any moment to ask for clarifications, to put suggestions in case you have to leave earlier, feel free to write your suggestions at any moment. No worry. We are here in a very informal gathering. This is a community, it's not an official meeting. We are here among friends and colleagues, and we really would like to hear your voices as much as possible. I hope I said everything, and I promise that we will keep the time. So at 3:30 we are going to be over. We know again that your time of educators, is very precious, and that is why I would like to thank you once more for being here. We are more than 65 people, so thank you very much. And we had many more registered, so more people might be coming. Time now to give the floor to Erin to hear about the UNESCO International Task Force. And Erin, so the floor is yours to tell us about all the wonderful things that you are doing and planning to do.
Thank you so much, Fabio. Thank you for having us here today as the Teacher Task Force. It's really exciting to see what a substantial group you are in terms of educators coming together. Now, us at the Teacher Task Force, we work more at the policy level, but we're always trying to engage teachers in the dialogue and in informing that policy. So I think there's a lot that we can do together in the future in terms of consulting this group and making sure that the voices represented are coming into the policy recommendations that we're making as the Teacher Task Force. So really, really appreciate being here today. So what is the Teacher Task Force? Well, primarily, we are there to ensure the recognition of the key role of teachers. You know, now with the rapid proliferation of technology that we see in school systems, you know, you sometimes hear in context about the future of the role of teachers, where technology may be able to step in and complement. And we want to make sure that there is no debate on the fact that every child deserves a quality teacher in their classroom. And so we work really hard to make sure that maintains that continues to be a core tenet of the global agenda on teachers. To do that, we promote social dialogue to inform the teacher policies and strategies that countries are deploying, both at the national level and in some cases at the subnational level. That's really important to us. And in fact, in the World Summit on Teachers we had this year, social dialogue was mainstream throughout every single session. And I think that was, we're really proud of the way that we've been able to facilitate that dialogue between teachers and policymakers directly. We'll be looking to do even more of that as we go into our next strategic plan in 2026 and beyond. So again, always looking for rich communities of teachers that can help do that work. So very, very happy to be here today. We also, where we find that there's information gaps, we commission research to further inform those policies and practice. And we do this rather quickly. So we have we're very agile in the way that the TTF works because we work as a membership group. We are some 190 members. Those members are either CSOs, NGOs, or of course, most importantly, member states. And so we're able to draw on the knowledge within the member network to develop and create these knowledge products. We also work to monitor the status of teachers through the SDG 4 Target 4C. And we do that through a global report on teachers that we produce every 2 years. We also like to facilitate the exchange of expertise and skills and knowledge between policymakers and, of course, also teachers. We do that at the global level, but we also do a lot of work at the regional level as well to ensure that neighbors are learning from neighbors on teacher policy. Teacher shortages, as we know, is not a unique problem in just one region or one area of the world. That it's something that goes north to south, east to west. Teacher shortage crisis is something that everyone is working to solve. And we do this through, this work through the implementation of three main lanes of action. One is that knowledge building, that expertise sort of curation that we do through knowledge products. And then a second one is through advocacy. So how do we get that knowledge into the hands of those that need it most for decision making? And then a third main line of action that we have is working at the, like I said, at that regional, national level to foster those dialogues and exchanges around, where do we see teacher policy moving? What are some of the good examples we have of how countries are attacking shortages, or how they're addressing maybe AI, etc. So we have we are quite a dynamic group. So we have leadership in our steering committee. We have a secretariat that sits at UNESCO. We also have and guides the work. We also have regional groups that work together on priorities, and we have thematic groups. Our thematic groups are very engaged, and you can see on the right side here of the screen the different ones that we have at the moment. These are the most active. We have one on inclusion and equity. We have school leadership, ECCE, early childhood care and education. We have a crisis group. And of course, the one that's probably been the most dynamic this year has been the digital transformation and AI group, which the TTF has also inputted into, you guys have informed significantly. So thank you very much for that. The sort of examples of activities that we engage in any given year, we prepare that global report on teachers, which becomes sort of a guiding work plan for the work, what issues we focus on over a certain time period. We also work on maybe research pieces that are not necessarily a part of that larger global report. These include, for example, when we did this year on costing and financing of the teaching profession. As we know, finance is becoming more challenging for everyone, and understanding where the cost drivers are in the education sector and how to finance sufficiently the teaching profession is a very important topic, including bringing in non-traditional flows into the sector. So that's something we worked on as well. Of course, one that we are promoting very enthusiastically at the moment is the position paper that we developed on AI, but specifically how do we promote human agency in the context of AI coming into the education system. We also have a teacher, for policymakers, we have a teacher policy development guide. This has, I think, now we're at some 13, 14, 15 modules. And those modules cover everything from costing to crisis situations, etc. And it's sort of a blueprint guide for policymakers when they're going through teacher policy reforms. We also provide through the Secretariat, but more importantly through the membership, technical expertise to support countries going through those policy reforms. And of course, we do a lot of events to promote this work. I might want to mention one thing that I think has been incredibly important this year, and many of you may have heard about it. So in August, we held the World Summit on Teachers in Santiago, Chile. And the output of that was the Santiago Consensus. So this was adopted across both those present in the summit, but also it was highly consulted over a period of 6 months leading up to the summit. This leverages some other existing recommendations, the high-level panel recommendations on the teaching profession that were launched last year in 2024. And it was, as I said, highly consulted. I want to highlight the 4 areas of action that consensus calls for. So again, leaning on the importance of strong teacher policy was one of the main action action areas that was covered in that consensus. Another one was ensuring the professional status of the teaching profession, and stabilizing the profession in countries. A third was the sustainable investments in the teaching workforce. So how, different sort of pathways to helping solve the shortage crisis. And of course, the making sure that professional autonomy and dialogue between teachers and policymakers remains a important pillar of the work that both countries and the international community are doing with teachers and teacher policy. Now, these 4 areas of action, you will see in the next 2 to 4 years that come, these 4 areas of action will be the guiding lights. This is essentially the work plan for the international work on teachers and the teaching profession. Since I know this group likes the subject of AI, I wanted to highlight as an example of the type of work that we do in relation to ensuring the sustainability and the role of teachers and human agency in the classroom. We worked this year on an AI position paper promoting protecting the teacher agency in the age of AI. This included broad consultation, not just within the teacher task force membership itself, but we also went out and consulted much more broadly outside of the constituency, including the private sector, teacher unions. It was extensively consulted over, I would say, 6 months in total. It resulted in 7 key recommendations, which I'll give you a glimpse of in a minute. We are going to launch this on the 21st of November, so in a couple of days. And so if anyone's interested to participate in that event, you're more than welcome to, and you'll get a much deeper sort of exposure to what came out of this paper. And we'll also be launching a product that helps you see what does it mean for policymakers and what does it mean for teachers themselves. Above all, this paper absolutely places teacher agency at the heart of AI debates. And I think that's a very important starting point, and a sort of a North Star that we can't lose our direction on. If we want to maybe take a peek at 7 of those recommendations before I wrap up, you'll see them here on the screen. And of course, there's a QR code if you want to look at the paper in more depth. But one, we want to reaffirm the important role of teachers in education, where we call an SDG for a qualified teacher in every classroom. We want to make sure that remains, again, the North Star of the work. We also want to make sure that we are promoting and protecting the competencies of teachers. So this, for example, calls for making sure that countries have competency frameworks that they've developed. We at UNESCO have a global competency framework for teachers. We also have one for students. But of course, those work well when they're contextualized for national environments. We also want to make sure that the impact of AI is evaluated, and that we are promoting human-centered pedagogy in relation to AI. AI is a tool. It's not a replacement of humans. And so that needs to come out very strongly in the pedagogical both training and practice that teachers are exercising. We also want to make sure that we're safeguarding diversity and preventing AI from over-standardizing education. Education is something that's highly contextualized, and that contextualization shifts every day. Every morning, a teacher walks into that classroom, and we want to make sure that that an over-standardization of content, curriculum, etc., is avoided. That teachers continue to hold the power of the diversity of their classrooms in terms of content. And we also want to promote transparent, sustainable, and ethical AI governance. So we call for countries to have ethical AI guidelines or recommendations that they adopt. We also want to ensure that equitable access and AI driven is not driving education inequality. Of course, this is very challenging because there's many factors that go into this, including access to connectivity, access to devices, etc. We've also, seen examples where, some free programs might not be as accurate as paid programs. That's an issue of equitable access that we recommend is a very important part of the way forward. And of course, we want to make sure that we're promoting solidarity and international cooperation when it comes to AI, so that these dialogues are having place, that we're elevating in one voice the major issues that we see, so that they can be addressed. So that's a preview of the paper to come on Thursday, and we'd be happy to see you there at the webinar to go into more details, where you would also get this second product. But thank you for giving us the space to show it off this afternoon.
Thank you, Erin, and congratulations for all the work done. Actually, I've seen among the participants many known colleagues from our clubs and our community, and I think we can agree that what I was saying before, we are working towards the same objectives. I mean, the safeguarding the role of teachers, and especially, let's say, a fair use of technology is absolutely our polar star. I have a question actually that is a very difficult one, as you can expect, and then I will keep this question for you now, but also later maybe for Alessandro and Ishil, to see how we are responding to these questions from your policy point of view, or research and policy point of view, and from our community grassroots point of view. The question is posed by Zebo, one of our ambassadors. Welcome, Zebo. And she asks, in your research on AI, you highlight, now it disappeared, you highlight the importance of safeguarding human agency. What does that look like in practical terms for teachers in the classroom? How to make sure that this really happens, in other words?
That's a really great question, and I think it's a question that we're going to be answering over many, many years. What I see that it looks like today is that AI tools are being developed, perhaps regulated, perhaps deployed in concert with teachers. So this is not. We don't want this to be a technology that is imposed upon teachers in the classroom. In order to ensure human agency as part of that technology, we need to make sure that teachers are part of building the technology. Otherwise, it's too late. And so that's the main advocacy line that we're pursuing this year and in the immediate future, to make sure that teachers are much more part of the policy that's being developed around AI, but also the actual technical development of these tools. It's something that we call for very strongly. So it's not a perfect answer, and I think that will evolve over time. Of course, that also means important dialogue between school leaders and teachers, and also administrators, and all throughout the ecosystem at the subnational level, and also even at the municipal or school level. But these dialogues are really important to make sure that human agency is promoted.
Thanks. And I see among the participants some former speakers on AI of our webinars, such as Christian Stracke, but I don't want to open now a debate on AI. But actually, Erin was mentioning before a webinar where this paper is going to be discussed. That's taking place later on this week. Maybe, I don't know if you put already the link in the chat, but this discussion will be going on there. Just a last point, a question or a comment by Nikitas Kastis. Welcome, Nikitas. Is saying, I'm not happy with the term protecting. I find it too defensive. Should we better use a term like transforming or something like that? What do you think, Erin?
Nikitas, you speak to my heart. In fact, this was a debate in the consultation we had. I don't know if you remember. In fact, we started in a much more defensive position with this paper. I don't know if you remember at the beginning, those of you that participated. And eventually what we did was try to turn this a bit to say, no, teachers can actually, play a much more active role in the development of these policies, the technology, etc. That's why we added promote. But it was felt within the international community that we still needed to keep protect as a way of referring to the profession as something precious that we don't want to diminish in any way. So I agree with you, Nikitas. This was a very much debate was put into this, the titling of this. In the end, we live in a world of compromise, and so that's why we have both protect and promote. But it is a very, very good question, and I love the word transform. And I think if we truly want to transform the profession and education systems, then we do need to think a little bit beyond just what exists today, more of what do we want to see in the future. So Nikitas, thank you very much for that. That's great.
Thank you. And from my side, I can say that we had the chance to contribute to this paper. And actually, I have the feeling that technology is changing so much that a new version of the paper will be coming out soon, will have to be coming out soon, or at least a revised version. So Nikitas and colleagues, be ready to comment on that. And in the meantime, I see in chat that the AI twins are taking over and having an AI discussion in a parallel webinar. I don't want to go there. I would just like to thank you very much, Erin, and more on this issue in later this week in a webinar on Friday, if I remember well. And now, okay, yes, claps. Thank you very much. And we move now to a brief overview of what the community has been doing. Please, if you know about this, bear with us. Some of the 82 people here, I hope we are new to the community, so we're going to very quickly go through what we did and what we found, especially through our new learning clubs. Can I get the PowerPoint, Giacomo? Thanks. So we can... let's say, and this presentation is basically instrumental for the discussion that we're going to have later on to get some ideas from you on what should happen and could happen ideally next year. Okay, so this is a bit about the community story. So we started in 2021, so that was 4 years ago, and in 4 years we moved from 0 to 1,600 members, which we are very proud of, and especially we did many things. I would say a couple of highlights. In 2022, we organized what we call the Innovative Teaching Award, the New Learning Award 2022, that we are going to repeat at the beginning of next year with the New Learning Award 2026. You will hear later at the end of this webinar. You see there big numbers, 800 applications. We got 10 finalists, 3 winners with the face-to-face event. Something similar will happen this year. Then we had a couple of years of a lot of knowledge production and knowledge gathering. And at a certain point, we found that was almost too much in terms of entropy, and so we decided to create these new learning clubs, what we call there, and we created the new learning club on STEAM education, one on AI, and one on adult education, and one on teacher professional development. You will hear about them in a moment. All in all, we organized 24 meetings. We gathered more than 100 practices. We co-produced some outcomes. So I can say that the clubs were very successful. They demand a lot of work from our side and from the side of our contractor, I admit, but also, let's say, they showed us that the community is composed of innovators who are willing to work on a voluntary basis. We hear nobody is paid for his work or her work. Is really the driver here is really sharing and advancing on this common objective. And in 2025, we tried to, let's say, get down to work with the clubs, and two clubs have produced two real outcomes. One is called Low Tech, High Impact STEAM, that is, let's say, focusing, of course, on STEAM, and another one is called AI Literacy Guide, that is the result of the club on AI. We'll hear from them in a moment, and we are working on a club on teacher professional development. To show you what a club is, very briefly, this club, I had the pleasure of coordinating it, so I will briefly tell you what happened. We started in the beginning of 2024. We gathered a lot of interest around STEAM, so science, technology, engineering, arts, and mathematics. You know, it is a big priority of many educational systems, and now it is a big priority also of the European Commission, thanks to the Union of Skills policy. We had a number of meetings, we had a lot of discussions, we let actually the members decide what to do, where to focus. Typically, this is a bit our approach. So, and the result was this outcome called Low Tech, High Impact STEAM that has been co-produced in English and translated spontaneously into Georgian. This club was led by two leaders from Georgia. I will give the floor to one in a moment. And so it was spontaneously translated into Georgian. This is the club. You have another QR code here, and I suggest you explore, you feel free to explore the club here. The wonderful thing here is that we did not write a single line. I mean, we structured a bit the information, we made it nice, let's say, but all the knowledge comes and all the practices come from the members of the clubs themselves. And these are a bit of a few images on what happened during the club. We organized a few sessions in events. We had a number of webinars, and we collaborated with networks and actors such as Scientix, that is the EU Community for Science Education. But of course, hearing this from the ETF is interesting, but I guess you would like to hear this from the word of a teacher, an educator. So that's why I'm calling in Medea, who has been leading all this work much more than I did. And Medea, please, I would like to hear from you about your experience in this club and how you see also this possible development in this area for the future. The other leader is Merab Labatste. We decided to give the floor to Merab for gender balance reasons, but Merab, of course, feel free also to take the floor later. Medea, please.
Thank you, Fabio. Hello, everyone. I want to highlight that it's a great pleasure for me to participate in every webinar, and I would say that working on STEAM Club was a great journey with you and with Merab. Thank you for all the feelings you gave to me. And also what I want to highlight is that after even the Congress, Women Congress in Barcelona, me with Guljan, we had several joint projects, and it's one of the most important, let's say, outputs of this kind of club initiatives. And, besides that, it gives people from different countries to work on joint projects. It also gives to teachers feeling that they are supported by a wider professional community, and it's very important for teachers. And in my opinion, through my work with teachers in Georgia and abroad, I have noticed that the most important challenge teachers have is in STEAM, engineering and technology components. So maybe in next year we should more be concentrated on how to help teachers to work on engineering part. I mean, what is engineering process cycle and what is a technology besides this screen. yes, screen activities. So, and also another one, actually it was Mamuka's, one of the participants' idea that maybe it's best also to work on how to manage low-tech activities, because sometimes when you have to conduct low-tech activities to several classrooms. Yes, it is going to be hard to gain this kind of materials for the same sizes, the same resources. Yeah. So yes, it's shortly what I wanted to say. Thank you again, and I'm looking forward for next year. Thank you, Fabio.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Medea. Actually, the club will continue next year. We have to decide later today and in the next month, so where we are going to focus. But the key word, as Medea said, will always be, let's say, teacher and members agency. So actually, the clubs are spaces where actually participants can decide what to do, and we are there to support them. This was in a nutshell the New Learning Club on STEAM, and I would like now to move actually to the most successful in terms of numbers, I would say at least, New Learning Club on AI, and for this I give the floor to my dear colleague Alessandro.
Thank you, Fabio. Good afternoon. It's incredible to see that, Fabio, we have participants from all the ETF partner country regions. It's great. So we are a very international community. So I would say, talking of innovation in teaching and learning is inevitable to talk about artificial intelligence nowadays. And indeed, we were quite successful in this respect. So let me briefly, in a nutshell, introduce what we have done since the start of the club. So we wanted to create, as Fabio was mentioning, some thematic discussion, having in mind innovation in teaching and learning, how to make it in an inclusive way, in a smart way, innovative way. So we started in 2024. We have a membership that is constantly growing. We are already more than 400. We had online, offline, and face-to-face with the most, let's say, motivated partner member, the opportunity to work also face-to-face. The idea was really to collaborate, to share practices in a way that to learn from each other, as a real community does. And as mentioned by Fabio before, we co-created together a concrete output that is a rolling document. So if we go to the next slide, with Isiel, that is here with me, we will enter a bit more in the guideline. But the idea is really to provide some practical guidelines for a school and for a teacher to get started, making clear that, first of all, we need to achieve some AI literacy, and then we can experiment. This is the right way to approach this journey. But in 2025 specifically, we evolved from the initial design of the club, and we had 4 meetups online because there was a lot of requests, a lot of interesting, and we were trying to go in specific aspects, in specific challenges that teachers can face in the schools, liaising with AI and the students. We had a first appointment on, for example, on the antagonist AI concept. So how AI can accelerate, scaffold our innovation capacity rather than replacing. That this is something that we can easily end up in doing. No, we ask to ChatGPT, but it's really important that it's supporting our human innovation, human agency, as Eris was mentioning. And then, for example, for the meetup in May, we wanted really to explore this is something new for 2025 to look at the practices. So we had a Finland teacher working with a student with special needs that was sharing what he was doing in his classroom with the students and how AI was supporting the learning activities and his teaching activities. Then just to pick up some example, because I want to be fast, let's say, but we had also another meeting, for example, in July, where we were really reflecting on the well-being. One word that I catch up from the previous intervention is the overstimulation the students, teachers have in this respect. So we were really reflecting on the well-being, taking, let me say, quite a critical perspective. We already mentioned that teachers will remain. And Fabio, if I could reply to your initial question, whatever we do, we have to keep in mind that teachers are irreplaceable. And then we design how to take on board artificial intelligence, because teachers have an important role, much more than just transferring knowledge. So we were focusing in July about well-being and ensuring that learning is an effort, but it's also a collaborative exercise. So we have to really take care of agency of teachers, as Irina was explaining, but also of students. Last, we had Christian, that I see. I'm very welcome to this event, Christian. We were really discussing on the most challenging, probably, element for teachers and schools. It's about the ethics, the ethical application, not just for assessment, but really to respect, to keep a human-centric approach. We might be enthusiastic as innovative teachers, but in the end, we have to be quite to address some good questions always to ourselves before using AI with our pupils. So let's go to the next slide. Well, as I said, in 2025, what we have done is an addendum of the guide we prepared during the first year of the club, taking where you can find the takeaway of the international, let me say, very good expert that we had with us, and as well as from the practitioners that we had with us. We were trying really to put a few lines, distilling key messages. So this is what we have done. As for the STEM Club, we aim to continue that, definitely. We have a fantastic content leaders, including Igil Boy-Ergula, that I'm going to pass the floor to really describe what she learned, what we have done, what can we improve, of course. Igil is on board since at the very beginning, and she launched a large training platform in Turkey. We met several times in international context. So, Igil, your takeaway, challenges, and what we could do better in 2026. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Dear Fabio, Alessandro, thank you so much. I'm so proud and happy to be a part of this wonderful group. Now I'm going to share you a brief reflection on what I have learned this year through ETF, UNESCO, and the Council of Europe meetings, and how these insights can guide our work. Across all international discussions, one message has become increasingly clear. AI is reshaping not just technology, but the very human, pedagogical, and democratic foundations of education. It compels us to reconsider how learning, autonomy, and meaning are formed in a world increasingly shaped by AI. This year, as ETF, we place a strong emphasis on AI literacy, and through our engagement with global partners, we saw how correct and timely this choice truly was. AI literacy is no longer about mastering tools. It's becoming the foundation of how learners think, question, create, and participate in society. So without the strong human and ethical dimensions, schools cannot navigate the transformations ahead. UNESCO highlighted a powerful reminder this year, and Alessandro was also at the UNESCO Digital Learning Week. So they said that the future of education will not be shaped by machine intelligence, but by how we nurture our own humanity. So this means shifting from cognitive outsourcing to cognitive self-scaffolding. So instead of relying on AI to think for us, we must help learners develop the internal scaffolds, reflection, reasoning, and epistemic hygiene that allow them to think with AI, not through AI. The Council of Europe's three-dimensional AI literacy framework reinforces this. AI readiness includes three layers. The technological one, how systems work; the practical one, how AI is used consciously and contextually; and the human part, so which is the most difficult part, although it seems the easiest part. It's about how AI affects autonomy, rights, and democracy. The human dimension is the one that helps us answer the most difficult questions. So when should AI be used? For whom? For what purpose? AI transforms the infrastructure of knowledge, and this raises a deeper pedagogical question that goes beyond performance and tools. Our goal should not be to raise better AI users, but curious, resilient, and ethical human beings. So we must ensure children remain the authors of their own lives. So a third theme this year was evaluating AI systems in schools. Schools must adopt an evidence-informed cycle that examines the educational purpose, who is included in decision-making, how learning experiences are safeguarded, as Erin mentioned, and what evidence demonstrates safety, fairness, and impact. And this is essential for building trustworthy ecosystems. Finally, the democracy-centered AI literacy framework, so-called DALISA framework by the Council of Europe, reminds us that education is context-dependent. We cannot scale identical solutions, but we can scale principles, capabilities, and collaboration. Governance, pedagogy, and AI literacy must be democratic, modular, and deeply adaptable. As we look toward 2026, I believe the ETF AI Club has a strong foundation. We already offer valuable updates, research insights, and community learning. So next year, I'm sure that we can deepen, this dimension all together. And now I'm going to pass the floor to Alessandro, and I'm again so happy to be a part of this wonderful club. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Gilles. So, one idea that I capture from Gilles is about more practices. Indeed, innovation has to always to be contextualized. Each classroom is a different story. So, point taken, and thanks also for all the reference you made to international frameworks. The club, of course, on AI is connected to UNESCO. It's connected with the European Educational Hub. So we try to do with Fabio and the colleagues a network of networks, because this is really to offer opportunity to all the participants to come across our clubs, of course, but also to the others. Fabio, I would pass the floor back to you for the next club. Just to mention that there are many requests for to become content leaders, and we are going to add new ones for next year. And please use the chat to provide ideas. One concrete idea is about a practitioner, to have more practitioners with us. We had really super international experts. We are growing in our network, and we will continue, but this is one message. And if you are interested to share something, please let us know. Fabio, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you, Alessandro and Ishil. I think you heard that this club, I think, was successful in doing actually something, in my view, extraordinary. The fact of bringing all these international declarations and debates and policy papers and filtering them for the, allow me to say, normal teacher, that the person, the educator that maybe doesn't even speak good English, but needs some support that has to be, let's say, cannot be the support of all those policy documents that we typically work on. So this club has really worked hard to filter this information down to the needs of the teachers. So congratulations, Alessandro and colleagues. Now, very quickly, the youngest club, it is focusing on a very important theme we all know, and Erin, I think you will agree with me that teacher professional development at the end of the day is the cornerstone for our educational systems to improve. It's hard to think of a good quality and inclusive education without inclusive and good quality and effective teachers. And here, in the place of my colleague Olena Bech, I will briefly present to you the story of the club. This club started 1 year after the others, so it's the youngest in the family. It gathered a lot of interest as well, almost 170 members, organized a few meetings, and is working with these members. We are working on designing a new model of contemporary teacher professional development. This club looks at innovative ways of building capacities of teachers, and what we did in these 3 meetings was something very, I would say, initial, but not because of this less important. That is, let's see how such a model should be looking like. So what are the areas where evolution should happen when we talk about teacher professional development, both initial and continuous? And we have identified 5 areas, and we have focused on these 5 areas in 2 specific webinars. And for every area, we are gathering practices, we are gathering ideas. So now this actually on small things. I like that in both clubs we spoke about low-tech, frugal innovation. We are not talking about, even if we are called community of innovative educators, we're not talking about edge innovation here. We're talking about daily life of teachers in the classroom. And so, let's say, this is not about high-tech, but about bright ideas that can have a big impact. And the 5 areas, I will just mention them, and then through the PowerPoint and the open space, you can then explore them. It's applied learning for teachers, so teacher professional development on the job. Is teachers and students well-being, very much connected to what we are doing in the field of digital and AI. It's international teacher professional development and mobility, and here we connect to all the Erasmus Plus and e-twinning work and all the idea of having a European teacher workforce, first of all, and then a global teacher workforce. We talk about peer learning and digitalization in terms of teacher professional development, so everything that has to do with digital ways to improve the capacity of teachers. And finally, about key competencies and teacher professional development. So how key competencies should not only be one driving force of teaching innovation, but also of teacher professional development. We will hear more about key competences in a moment when we speak about our award. Last slide about this club. This club is also a way for us at the ETF to follow and work in collaboration with a number of very important actors that are working actually on teacher professional development and teachers development in general. I can mention here the Lifelong Learning Platform, CEDEFOP, the European Association of Teachers Education. I think I saw Agnieszka first earlier among the participants, and it's the Trade Union Association of Teachers and Educators. Again, this is a way to foster some discussions and again to filter these debates for the benefit and finally for the engagement of teachers and trainers. I think, this was the last slide about this. I see there are a few comments in the chat, some thanks, some links. There is a comment by Nikitas who is saying that you would appreciate to learn how the formation of learning needs and capacity of learning by different age ranges have been taken on board. Interesting. So I see you are referring to the AI field.
Yeah.
But okay, so Ale Nishil, I promise this is the last question I take on AI, but I leave you to respond to this, please.
No, well, I think prudently, Fabio, I would say point taken for next year, because we are still we have limited research overall. So, and I think we need to look for. So, Nikita, if you can help us and please contact us. I'm very glad to work on this to try to identify, let's say, what is digestible and respectful of the well-being of students based on the age. This is a topic, Igile, that we may take into account, like to have something that is proportional and healthy for students, considering the age.
Okay, very, very elegant way. Thank you, Alex. Okay, now we heard about the 3 clubs. You heard what we did, and I hope we were able to explain a bit the spirit of our work in the community. But now the question comes, what's in for you, apart from joining webinars and proposing ideas? So I would like now to give the floor to Roberto Righi and Marta Tibura to hear about what can teachers, you and your colleagues, so please feel free to act as an ambassador of the community and to let your colleagues know what we can do for this. Robbie, please.
And Olena is back with us, Fabio, just for your information.
Thank you. Actually, is Marta presenting this session?
Yes, and I will ask for the slides. It was the same slide deck. So good afternoon, everyone. Me and Roberto, we were part of the community in the last year, and today we will give you a snapshot of what this community offers and how you can be part of it. So our community brings together over 1,600 people, educators, teachers, trainers, school leaders, and researchers from diverse countries, united by one mission, which is to explore, to promote, and in the last years, to co-create innovative teaching and learning practices. This community supports educators in sharing ideas, in learning from each other, and developing practical solutions that can be used in the classroom and training environments. In the recent years, the community is evolving from a platform that mainly promotes practices into a more vibrant, living learning community, a space where innovation really grows through the collaboration of members. So what can you do in the ETF community of innovative educators? Next slide, please. First of all, you can engage in collaborative discussions through webinars, interactive sessions. You can share your experience, ask questions, build meaningful connections. Since its start, the community organized over 40 webinars addressing different topics such as STEAM, artificial intelligence, use of open educational resources, digital credentials, open badges, innovative learning tools, gamification, and many others. Since 2024, we started let's say clustering interest of the members, and as the result you can work in international groups of practitioners by joining the thematic new learning clubs that has been mentioned many times during this webinar, and which are very important element of the community nowadays. Inside the clubs, members can explore the topics more in depth and produce a joint outcome. What else we can do inside the community is to explore and share innovative teaching practices. Our community hosts already a growing database of over 100 innovative educational practices, and everything you can find on open space. You can do what you can do. You can submit your own practice. You can browse ideas from and get inspired by other practitioners and adapt practices you found to your context. Moreover, in the community, you are invited to get involved in the co-creation process, which is a very interesting element and implemented in the last year with a bigger focus, let's say, where the members can co-create guides, reports, and tools which support educators internationally. Next one, please. On the next slide, you will see both outcomes produced by clubs, by the AI Club and by STEAM Club. Then we will share with you the presentation, and you can browse these materials on your pace. Next one, please. What does the community offer to the members? For sure, the opportunity to build connections, as also Medea highlighted. Working inside the community can bring you meaningful connection, then flourish in different projects and initiatives. It gives visibility to your work, for sure. You can be assigned an open badge, which endorse your skills. And in the last 2 years, also the most committed members gain access to some international events where they can expand their knowledge through active participation in conferences and seminars. On the next slides, you will see examples of such events. Okay, thank you. We also collected for you member stories coming from their participation in such events, and we will share with you all the links. Okay, thank you. Next one. Okay, the feedback from the leaders, which really contributed in incredible way to the clubs. Thanks. Next one. And this is the final slide, which I like very much because it somehow frame the community as a learning space, and I think we should continue doing. And here I link this presentation to the next one when we will talk about the next, what is coming next inside the community. Thank you.
Thank you, Marta. So now you heard about what we did, you heard about what you can do and what the community can do for you, what you can take out thanks to your participation in the community. Again, the community is based on voluntary work, but is offering as much as possible opportunities to learn, but also to show what you are doing. And now it is the time we should be taking some 15 minutes at least to talk about or to hear from you about what you would like to see in the community for the future, because everything that you heard about until now has been designed based on a similar meeting to what we're having today, which happened 2 years ago. So 2 years ago we heard about the need to focus more, and we invented the idea of the clubs, and now we are here listening to you again as a group of our members and ambassadors to try to find our way for the next years. I see already my dear friend Merab with his hand up. So Merab from Georgia is an ambassador of the community as well as one of the content leaders of the STEAM Club, so a very important person in the community. Merab, please.
Thank you, Fabio, for such an introduction to feel like, again, very important person. I'll be short. The context that I'm always trying to connect different directions. So the idea of inter-cooperation between the existing clubs just on two ways. So it could be like learning AI with STEAM or against learning STEAM with AI, which is more or less already on the track. This is one point. And of course, with the teachers' professional development, it's there. Another point is, I agree that the community and participation in the events, and especially in the physical events, and opportunity to learn more. It's important that I have a very brief example, like recent example from the weekend training with some old STEM teachers which haven't been participating in this kind of events of quite a long time. And thank you to some of them for just joining this webinar as well. So one of them, one old friends, told us that like 12 years ago, we brought her to Copernicus Science Center and some exchange program. And this even simple science, what Medea's company does and does it more deeply, could trigger positive experiences and teachers. So after that, she thinks that everything is possible, and then experimenting is the key. So you can experiment with anything with education. So she opened up to these experiences, and I believe that involving more people who are kind of prepared already to open up to these experiences would bring even more innovations to the club community and benefit everyone, I think. Thank you.
Thank you. So if I can summarize, is looking for niche of innovation also in the way we approach our themes. So it shouldn't be just STEAM and AI, but it could be like STEAM through AI and AI through STEAMs in a way that, let's say, we can find new pockets of innovation, to say the least. Okay, that's a very, very interesting point. I see in the participants list, I've been mentioning during my talk, Agnieszka, Christian, who was a speaker, Alexandra, who spoke, Zebo, who is an ambassador. So feel free to take the word. You know what we are talking about, but also the ones from you who are here for the first time. Feel free to let us know, how do you think we could help you in thriving in terms of innovation, and what you would really need in terms of, let's say, products, support tools. We didn't present everything we are doing, of course, we already overloaded you with information. We don't want to go even farther than this. But yeah, please, this is the moment to let us hear your voice. Also, the leaders of the clubs, Medea, Ishil, Alessandro, if you want to say.
I just, Fabio, just to mention that Nikita was digging into her question in the chat. So it's an important point. And it's also a sign that we can gear up to a higher maturity level. So we want to be Nikita is really suggesting to have a session, a meetup, connecting to the age also. So we know that digital literacy, including AI literacy, should start as soon as possible. And this can happen through the use of technologies in teaching and learning. But we have to be aware, and to be honest, I'm not fully aware, and the community can be the place where we can learn from each other. So I really call, for example, from different level of education, different sector. We often focus on vocational education and training, given our mission. But of course, talking of AI in education, it's really important to contextualize also in terms of ages. So I hope, Nikita, you are going to really share with us something in order to shape a meetup on this topic, for example.
I promised already. Yeah, I will follow up.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. Agnieszka, please.
Yes, thank you. I would like to share my experience with the club, as I think it is highly important for us to share our experiences and knowledge, because that we can get wild understanding of the issues we are talking about. And especially important for me is that we can avoid making mistakes, because we share the experience from some different countries and different contexts. So that's a very general expression that I really appreciate being a member of the club. So thank you for inviting me. And I think that the strong teacher education that we are working on is very important for creating the future, the better future. But I also wanted to support the topic that has been mentioned with the idea of focusing on learners in different age, and with this learning to learn strategies that differ very, very much when we think about people in different age. So just your introduction of the topic. Thank you.
Thank you. And that connects, yes, to learning to learn, but also to intergenerational learning. And it opens up many interesting things connected to the different clubs. So good point. Thank you also, Nikitas, for suggesting it. Zebo, please.
Thank you for today's inspiring session. I feel proud to be part of this community of innovative educators. So what I take from this year as a member, as a participant of different clubs, is that artificial intelligence, AI, is reshaping not only technology, but the very human foundations of education. And AI literacy is no longer just about using tools. It's becoming the basis for how learners think, question, and participate in society. As an ambassador, as a participant, I understood that our role as teachers is irreplaceable, and technology should support, not replace, human agency. And I truly appreciate that this community focuses not only on high-tech innovation, but also on smart, daily, low-tech solutions that make a real impact in classrooms. And I'm grateful for the opportunity to learn, share, and co-create together. And I look forward to continuing this journey with you all. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Olena.
I think Mohammed was before me.
Mohammed. Okay. Mohammed was up. Yes. Okay, there you go.
No problem. Just say, as you like to say. Thank you so much for this opportunity. And I would like to address in one of the ideas, which is the inclusion of the people of the special needs and the education of the techniques for the especially in adults education, to teach those people and teach this category, because we had some challenges, whether in teaching in the inclusion of people of special needs, whether they can come into the class to teach or we teach them, because we have them as included in the classes. So I think that we can have some ideas and some TTT or TOT about how to manage, mixed classes, and how to address, how to equally address and include them. Thank you.
Great. Yeah, very good point. Actually, it's themes can be endless, but this is surely a very important one. Thank you. Olena, please.
Thank you very much. I just wanted to contribute to asking questions because we still have a couple of minutes left for this discussion on the agenda, and I wanted to reinforce the message from my colleagues, from Fabio and Alessandro, and also from the team which was supporting so effectively the clubs, Roberto and Marta, just to mention this aspect. On the one hand, we are as already mentioned, we are trying to establish a platform which is a kind of network of networks, because we are trying to save everybody's time. We know that on the one hand, we need to have a free exchange of ideas and to have the possibility to learn from each other. At the same time, everybody has so limited time that it's important to be very focused in every discussion that is important, relevant for each of us, as a practitioner, as someone who develops education. So how do we combine this? We need to stay connected across the topics of the clubs, different clubs. Like today, for example, we are bringing together all three clubs to make sure that we have this cross-fertilization. But how it would be best next year to ensure that on the one hand we stay focused on the topics, and we are receiving from you the ideas for the topics. We will be very sensitive to fine-tuning the work of this community next year to the important needs of the members. But how do we ensure this focusing and at the same time free flow and interconnectivity? If anybody could share some ideas, the formats that we applied this year, maybe you could suggest some other ways of methods of working for us. Thank you very much.
Thank you. That's $1 million question. How to keep together focus and breadth of this and free flow of discussion. But that's the challenge that we are facing actually every time we meet to decide where the community should go. But very well noted. Any idea on this? We promise that we give you we'll leave you the copyright if you solve this. Svitlana, please.
Great. Thank you very much indeed for invitation of such event. And actually, it's very useful, and we have a very good history of cooperation with ETF. Congratulations with the anniversary. And actually, maybe as a kind of suggestion to organize networking events, maybe cluster events together, bringing together the clubbers, let's call the units who already established within ETF, and also maybe the projects working on the same initiatives from, for example, funded by Erasmus Plus program or by others like eTwinning as well. And I think it would be good to have maybe a kind of a newsletter as well, or at least one file with the initiatives done by the clubbers that you presented today, and share it also, or just publish it as an article and disseminate it via European Commission or other also international partners to wider audience. Because of course you're doing a lot, and the clubbers and the community knows about it. But actually, if we go beyond, and we know some projects implemented in Ukraine with international partners within Erasmus Plus who would be interested in that initiatives as well. And since we know, they know. But if there is, not that much outreach, then it might be a good idea to organize some kind of such events, maybe like networking cluster sessions, and as well as the publication to share the best practices and the outcomes you develop, because they are valuable. I read all that you present, and we need them desperately, within our teachers community.
It's a very good point, actually. We do our best to structure everything we do through our humble open space pages, but we realize that every time that is not enough. And every time we do an extra step, not an extra mile, but an extra meter, wonderful things happen, like this spontaneous translation of an outcome, full outcome into another language. That was spontaneous and came out of some discussion. So very, very important point to make sure that everything we do and we have been doing is properly outreached, I would say, through the right also national constituencies. Yeah. Agnieszka, your hand is up since before, or it's a new one?
No, it's a new one.
Please go.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, I've been thinking about maybe writing some scientific papers based on the practical experience, just to build a kind of bridge from practice into theory, because it's still lacking in a lot of cases, at least from the perspective of the Association for Teacher Education in Europe. As we focus a lot on research, we still need to see the practice that can build a theoretical background, not the opposite. We focus on theory too much in many situations, and then we miss the practical, the vision of the practical implication or application of the theory. So I'm thinking about kind of projects that can build a theoretical scientific paper based on the exchange of experience or practice or good examples, this kind of stuff. Yeah, that's just a proposal. Thank you.
Another very good point, absolutely. And for that, we could think of a research, let's say, a research point of the iceberg, either of every club or transversal to the clubs that could work on this. Yes. I see many people nodding, and so I take note of the nodding ones. You will be volunteered soon for this work. And don't smile, Christian. I see you are smiling. You'll be smiling is equal to nodding in this specific case.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you very much, Agnieszka. Okay, so giving for granted that this discussion will be going on, and I suggest we will be also asking you with the classical feedback email after this webinar about new ideas. I would like now to devote the last 10 minutes of today to actually I would say the biggest piece of news, that is the ETF New Learning Award 2026. We kept it at the end specifically to make sure that you will all stay with us until the end, and we made it. That's all the trick. And so I would like to give the floor now to my colleague Olena for the official launch and presentation of the award.
Thank you very much. I also wanted to thank Svetlana and Agnieszka for the points, for the ideas in response to my question, because I really wanted to acknowledge, first of all, that we are very keen on bringing together the practitioners and the researchers and the partners, all those who and policymakers, of course, all those who build together sustainable and modern lifelong learning systems. And also I wanted to mention that our work on creating new learning project that started from 2020 started from a very rigorous literature review of academic evidence-based literature, and we tried to stay very close, linked to the academic research. So I think it's time to feed back some of the outputs of the work with the experts in our communities. Now, today is really the official launch, because we already published it online, but we consider today is the day of the big day when we launch the New Learning Award 2026. The results will be announced only after the final round, which will be in April next year, but the finalists will know who they are in February. So that means that we will be now expecting the applications for the New Learning Award until 15th of December, and we are going to tell you what it is about. So who of you already saw it on LinkedIn or on the ETF website? Maybe you could give us a sign. I'm just interested how our social media work. Could you give us any? No, nobody. Okay, so it is really an official launch, Fabio. So the event that the official award, New Learning Award of the ETF, is this time dedicated to the big topic that has been in the center of the European policies since many years, and it's key competences. But within the key competence agenda, we have understood that the biggest challenge for teachers is to make sure that they do not develop or support the learners in developing key competences in separate tracks, so that it's not possible to develop digital competence separately, in isolated way from other competences, or learning how to be entrepreneurial without linking it to the real life and real environment. So the challenge for teachers to update their curricula and their learning methods and the tools that they use in the way that they would be addressing the modern competences of learners has been always a big task. And some countries have been doing it at the system level. In some countries it was also mostly confined to certain practices and certain projects, etc. So we are looking this time for these brilliant, innovative practices which are demonstrating how teachers could combine at least two key competences. The list of key competences is coming from the communication of the Commission and the Council on the key competences for lifelong learning. We all know them very much as the European key competences. And we prioritized 5 or 6 of them as the center of this call. So these are digital, sustainability, citizenship, entrepreneurial, STEM, and if possible also personal, social and learning to learn, so-called LifeCom. As you know, 4 of these competences have the frameworks in the EU. And these are the famous DigiComp, EntreComp, LifeComp and GreenComp. And many of you are very well familiar with our tool Scaffold, which is supporting teachers in integrating the key competences into the learning. But yes, thank you. In this call, we would like to go beyond what we know. We would like to find these fantastic practices of how do you do it? How do you enrich the learning outcomes of any subject area, or in non-formal learning, in SME training, in coaching, in mentoring, in general secondary education, in vocational? How do you do it that the traditional learning becomes competence-based learning, and it combines more than one key competence? So we announced this competition, but we also suggest what types of practices we would like to find. So it's your own methodologies and tools. If you develop some innovative tools, you may present them for this award, but also it is adaptation of existing tools. We will have some special nominations, and we have been already discussing that we will have a special nomination for the innovative application of Scaffold, of course. We would like to know how educators apply it in real environment of learning. So be creative, and please just remember that the deadline is the 15th of December, not 1 minute into 16th of December. And we will be collecting applications in English. We will then review the applications. We will have an international jury, and the jury will select 3 finalists for several nominations. So it will be like up to 10 finalists in general, with special nominations, and which nominations we will actually see with the jury during the review of the applications, because we would like to see what comes. And then at the end of the selection, we will announce the finalists, and we will invite them to an event. The event will be taking place in Brussels, and it will be organized together with our partners, who are also partners in the call. It's the 3 European networks of ed providers, EVBB, EFTA, and DFED, and the Lifelong Learning Platform. I would like to mention that the call covers different parts of the learning system. So it's not only VET, but it's across various parts of formal education and non-formal learning. Then maybe if you have any questions, or if I would like to present, first of all, Tamar Kitiashvili, who is here. Tamar, can you sign? Yes. Tamar Kitiashvili is the key member of the team leading on this on the preparation of this call. So Tamar, if I forgot to say anything, would you like to add anything, any detail that matters for the participants of today?
Thanks, Olena. I will use the chance to greet our participants and to encourage them. You comprehensively presented already the call and main concept of the call. One thing which I might highlight more is maybe the focus we have on intersection of key competences, not only among key competences, but also to the other subject areas, including technical and sector-specific modules and areas of training, maybe work-based learning or in a work-based learning setup or classroom setup, but any kinds of intersections and integration of key competences with other areas of learning would be encouraged to see practiced in an innovative way. And we are very much looking forward to your creativity and to spreading the word. And also, Olena, maybe it's worth mentioning that the partnerships are very much encouraged for this call. The partnerships between the institutions, the whole institution approach, partnerships among the teachers, as well as partnerships with the private sector, with the NGO sector, and world of education, any types of partnerships, and which usually leads to bigger scalability and sustainability of practices, these kind of partnerships are also encouraged because our call is also based on partnerships. As you see, so many organizations are on board. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Tamar. I think we are almost beyond the time. Is it correct, colleagues?
Yes.
Maybe just about the dissemination of the call, we have it on the open space, and we will put it in all social media. We will try to use all the possible channels and the partner networks to disseminate it, but please also disseminate and please participate as well. And we also hope that we would be able to invite some ambassadors from the community to participate in the event, so that we would like to know, to have your expressions and your interest in the topic. And I will just send it back to Fabio, the possibility to wrap up the seminar.
Yeah, thank you very much. So actually, ambassadors have been alerted already as special members of the community, and actually, even before starting the promotion on social media, I don't remember, Tamar, if we received 6 or 7 practices without nobody knowing about this. So I don't know, people found the link. I think it must have been some very, let's say, effective ambassador that already started to push the information. So thank you for that. Let's say we are launching it together, or we are launching it officially today, but we have seen already, and we are improving a bit the different things. So if you, by going on the page, find also something that you think should be improved, feel free to talk to us. I mean, again, this is something that we do with the clear objective of raising innovative and inspiring practices, not only for us to know about it, the research-based approach that Elena was mentioning before, but then to give it back to you as a community. So let's say the event will be the peak where we will talk about innovation and talk about teaching and learning innovation, but then after the event, of course, we will make sure that the finalists and the most interesting practices will be further shared and discussed and serve as inspiration for the community. We are 4 minutes late. I would like to give, if somebody wants to say something or a last minute comment that you did not have time to speak out earlier, this is the time. But I think in terms of objectives, we did hear about Erin. Thank you very much, Erin. I think our partnership is very promising. We did report to you the big part of what we did during this year. The year is not over yet. We still have a month and a half, but we already did a big bunch of things. And especially, I have here a full paper with a lot of ideas of what we could do afterwards. This is not ending up today. We will keep on discussing this in order for us to not only find new themes, but also make sure that, let's say, the way to engage every one of you with your different levels of innovation, capacity of talking English, capacity of finding the time to attend webinars and so on, will drive our possible hooks and ways to get you in the community, of course, as much as we can. And especially what we did was to officially launch the award that we organized 4 years ago. I had just joined the ETF at the time, and was a fantastic experience that helped me meeting a lot of innovators and colleagues. And I'm quite sure that this year will be even better, because last time we did it almost alone. This year we are doing it with more partners, so it's going to be for sure a success. Thank you, Alessandro, for all the energy in the club, and also for the commitment for next year. Thank you, Elena and Tamar, for having set up such a wonderful award. Thank you, Roberto and Marta, for all the support along this year. Thank you, Isil and Medea, for your nice words. Thank you, Erin, once again. Thank you, everybody, and looking forward to read your applications and to meet some of you, not all of you, unfortunately, but some of you in Brussels for the New Learning Award in spring next year. Good afternoon to everybody, and see you soon.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. See you soon.
Thank you. See you then.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you, everyone.
Good luck, everyone.
Bye.
Ciao.
Bye.
Bye-bye.